Hey, welcome to the channel, everyone. I am Doug, the retirement guy with the monthly ETFs, the monthly dividend review of BITO ETF, which is ProShares Bitcoin ETF. So we're going to cover that today. We're going to show you how it works and all the behind the scenes of the BITO. But before we get in that, big shout out to all of our subscribers. Welcome to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, don't be afraid to press that button, join the channel, and get that bell notification so you don't miss any of our videos, because all we're here to do is try to help you grow your portfolio. Let's get into today's video. Notice to all viewers, past performance does not guarantee future results. The information provided in the videos for educational purposes only. Always contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. So who is BITO? Well, it's ProShares Bitcoin ETF. The ProShares Bitcoin, it's an exchange traded fund with mostly invest into long BDT and short US currency. Okay, BDT is short for Bitcoin. So they're looking at investing in long options of Bitcoin and then also having some US currency to to back it all up with. It invests in future contracts of CME Bitcoin futures and uses swaps, cash, and short-term investments like treasury bills for collateral. It rolls the futures contracts, selling near-term expiration contracts and buy ones further out. So what we're saying is they'll buy a contract that says that it's 6 months out, and they'll turn around and they'll hold this thing until they have expiration of 1 to 3 days. So you're getting the most possible profit out of it, trying to get the closest number-wise to it to generate as much income. ProShares has done this in a lot of different factors. They do a good job with it. This one came out in October of 2021. So we have almost 4 solid years of doing this. So it's really one of the first ones out there with the Bitcoin in this operation. So how does the fund work? First off, the future exposures. BITO buys Bitcoin future contracts that are the agreements to buy Bitcoin at a future price and a future date down the road. Rolling over contracts. Because future contracts expire, BITO regularly sells contracts that are about to expire and buy newer ones. This process is called rolling. The collateral and cash instrument. BIT holds cash or cash equivalents, short-term treasury bills, to back the future exposures. This helps with liquidity and managing margins and collateral requirements. And the nice thing they do is monthly distributions. So how does it really happen? Well, BITO right now, I call it flatten, because in the last month it's down 2.27, 6 months it's up 6.10, and year to date it's down 16.47. Now, why is it down 16% over the year? Well, the April cutoff was a huge factor, and it's recovered from it, but not as strong as it once was earlier in the year. Now, what's happening lately? Well, this has done well during the low volatility of Bitcoin. It's been trying to do whatever it can to hold itself through when we have very little volatility. And that's what this fund really looks for. It looks for volatility. It's looking for things to jump up, jump down, sideways, is trying to get the volatility out of the Bitcoin. And when it does, it performs. When it doesn't, you see a slight drop off. How does it handle the dividends? It actually has done very, very well. It's still managing a fund that is looking for volatility. When you go back this thing in January of 24 through May, look at the growth that you had in the dividend payouts. Huge. But the nice thing about it is that they've learned from this, and even though they've been able to maintain that, maybe not at that high level, they are still paying out a very strong dividend across the board. So in September was one of the lowest that they've had, 86 cents. August was $1.20. As we said, we're rolling the volatility that kind of ended in August and rolled it into September, and we're expecting to see the numbers to be a little lighter, even so, moving into the October payoff. But overall, this thing has a dividend yield of 53.46%. So very, very strong, with an average payout of 84 cents per month. So very strong cash flow across the board. Now, if we take that 53.46 dividend yield, add in the growth fund of negative 16.47, you still have a positive return of 36.99%. That is very, very strong, and paying out monthly of 84 cents. You can't go wrong with this type of a fund. They do it very, very well. And it's something that you and I can't really do wholeheartedly, because these guys can do it on a regular basis, buying those futures, working through it, and it's using a unique system of how to play it. Now, the tax considerations. Now, BITO does not primarily rely on a return of capital the way that the yield option income ETFs like Yield Max or JPI or things other ones do. The tax edge that they use instead comes from what they call a 60-40 future tax treatment in the US. 64% or 60% is long-term, 40% is short-term capital gains, regardless of the holding period. This is why I showed you a big sign that says ask the experts. You need to talk to a tax expert to really understand this. It pays out usually from capital gains on future positions, interest earned from the cash and the T-bills, so that's your 60-40 split, sometimes realized on future roll gains. So it's not the return on capital, it's a 60-40, so 60% of your income is going to be classified as long-term capital gains, which will anywhere from a 0 to 15 to a 20% currently tax rate, and 40% is going to be short-term under your natural income side of it. So that could be up to 37%, but that's because that's the cash and T-bills that are paying out. So the forecast. In the next 30 days, it's a modest gains or sideways movement, maybe up about 5%. So strong right there with the current price, if things go well, all based on the future market of Bitcoin. At the end of 25, you could see outcomes between $24.09 to $34.25 in a favorable environment. Expected a 21.5% potential upside. So all the experts are saying they like this. They think the system's still going to do well, and they're seeing a growth in the fund with a little bit of volatility coming forward. BITO's performance is closely tied to Bitcoin's price movements. A significant rise in Bitcoin's value could lead to higher returns of BITO. So I'm going to tell you straight out the way I read it and the way I've put this into play to understand it the easiest, that this is almost like directly buying into Bitcoin with a security blanket. Okay? You're letting the experts buy the futures so they know what the price is going to be down the road, but then they also have it so they can sell it away fairly quickly and generate the income. So looking at this 3 months out, a gain of 5% and getting our stock price to $24 to $34, I think this is a win-win situation that we have rolling right here. So return on investment. So if you know, I'm a return on investment type guy. I love this stuff. And basically it tells me if I put $1 into this, how fast am I going to get my dollar back? And with that new 86 cents, it moves that average to 84 cents. The price of the share right now is only $19.83. So you take that 84 cents, divide it into that, and you're talking 24 months and you have your funds back. That fits right into what I always say. These are one of those step in. It's a no-brainer. That's within 2 years. So when we take a look at the forecasting at this thing at 1983, and they're telling us that it's probably going to get to $24, that's some healthy self-growth in BITO. So in summary, our eyes have really marked this as a buy. It has $2.8 billion in assets under management. So it has plenty of money to continue to buy futures and to buy right and to do what we need to do to generate that income. 24 months on a return on investment fits right into my portfolio, fits into what I want to do. And in 24 months, I have all my money back. When we look at the share returns at negative 2.27 in 1 month and up 6.10, very, very solid there. And I take a look at the forecast, says it's probably going to have another about a 5% run in the next 90 days, which gets us almost to the end of the year. So very solid return there. Not talking about the income, that's paying us an average of 84 cents each and every week. So, or excuse me, not each and every month. So that's not bad putting that into the package. This past one, 86 cents, right on average. And then, of course, the forecast. That forecast looks great all the way to 2025. Even I'm looking at that. If you have the normalcy of what happens with Bitcoin, it does have that flexency of to have some volatility. They're starting to mess around with the interest rates now, which is going to make Bitcoin set up and say, hey, where do we want to go? How do we want to move with Bitcoin? And I think it'll start to bring a little bit of volatility back, which that's all we need is just a little bit, and it'll help make things package all the way through. So guys, what are your thoughts? Is this a buy, sell, hold? I'm Doug, the retirement guy with the monthly ETFs. If you like what we're doing, give us that thumbs up. If you're not sure yet, well, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of our videos. And also let me know your comments. What do you think? Is this a buy, hold, or sell? Also, we've joined into the Patreon group. So the Doug, the retirement guy, you can support both channels all with one simple donation, or just sign up for the free stuff. Get the free stuff out of it and enjoy. Guys, we'll catch you next time.